It's the great mystery, the disappearing podcast.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the New Media Show. My name is Todd Cochran. Of course, I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Rob Greenlee. Good morning, Rob. How are you?
Hello, Todd. We have a mystery on the show today that we're going to hopefully solve.
Oh, what is that mystery?
I don't know. It's the mysterious disappearing podcast.
Well, what we have found, well, for those of you that don't know what we did or what I did, about 3 weeks ago is we started using Wowza Cloud Server, and it works fantastic for Facebook, for Periscope, for Twitch, for Mixer. I mean, it's been rock solid. But as soon as you add YouTube to the mix, YouTube just kind of, it's always complaining. So I do have the ability here to stream to 2 streams at once. And so that's what we're doing today. So YouTube Health, as they call it, YouTube Live Health should be better. And so we'll see how it works.
So what's the thought here, Todd? Does it mean that Google doesn't play well with others? Is that what this is going on here?
I don't know, and I looked at, where the server was that Cloud or Wowza was compared to where the YouTube servers were. And it's, the hops aren't that much. And it just doesn't like, and no one over at Wowza can give me an answer. So it's okay. And, we're pushing, we're not pushing heavy. We're pushing 4,000 kilobits per second on the stream. And, but YouTube, that's what I normally push to YouTube and says it's good, but the transcode, YouTube doesn't like it.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's a technical update from your friendly podcast team here at the New Media Show.
Which most people who listen to the show are very far down the path of geekdom.
Yeah.
So they care about things like this.
But, if you look at it, I'm pushing to 2 Facebook pages, 2 Periscope, 2 Twitter accounts, Twitch, and Mixer. Now, why do we push a New Media Show to Twitch? Well, we can.
What the heck, right?
And it's free, right? If it gets us 1 view over there, great, Mixer, that's a whole different deal. I'm still trying to completely figure that out. That's tied to Xbox and, so who knows?
Yeah. Well, if it gets us on Xbox, that's awesome.
But the Twitter stuff has been great. You're just watching, because I put it as a featured post on Twitter. And so if someone comes to the Twitter page, they see it right there at the top. And, it garners enough that it should build awareness for the show. And, I don't know if anybody's going to watch the whole thing over there, but I don't know why I wasn't doing this before. I'm just lazy, I guess, trying to get everything together. But anyway, we're here, we're live. And for those of you listening on demand, thank you for being subscribed to the show.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Hey, Todd, did you hear about the announcement that AdsWiz put out there about they have a new audio advertising format called Shake Me?
No.
You didn't hear about that?
Okay. No. So tell me about Shake Me.
I think it has something to do with there's some element of the advertising that if you shake your mobile device, it reacts to something in an ad or something like that.
Okay. So
it's a way to respond to an audio advertisement.
But you have to have the functionality built into the app, right?
I would assume so, yes. Yeah.
So
it's
kind of cool. So I guess if they were doing that, then what we could all tell people to do is to twerk when if they have their phone in it. Guys, if you have your phone in your pocket and you hear a podcast ad, you immediately have to start twerking.
We are not taking the podcasting space all that seriously today, are we?
Or maybe slapping your phone will work,
Yeah, there you go. Slap you in the ass. Yeah. So somebody walking by. Right.
So, yeah. So I tell you last week I got the iPhone XS Max
Yes, yes. I believe you held it up and showed us its
Yeah,
massiveness.
yeah,
Yes.
it's pretty sexy. I'll be the first to admit.
Hey, oh, yeah, I would imagine. I mean, it's probably difficult to fit in your pocket. I know it's not that much bigger than the other one, right?
Right, it's not. It's the same size. But I do have an update for you on Windows Phone.
I was just about to mention that, Todd. We're on the same wavelength here.
Well, I heard on a podcast that in Italy, Windows Phone is huge.
It's huge.
Yeah, huge. So
mine is as big as your phone, Todd.
Well, I don't know, but people, the person that was reporting it was saying that everywhere he went, if people had Windows phones in Italy. So I thought that was curious.
I don't know that that's really true. I know all the Spreaker people in Italy don't have Windows phones.
Are they on iPhones or are they on Androids?
Really, mostly Androids.
Oh, okay.
Really.
That makes sense.
I mean, if you look at, the most common operating system in Europe is Android. It's not iOS. Yeah.
Well, that was a report from the No Agenda team. Adam Curry's in Italy right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that it's big somewhere.
Yeah, that's right. So what was the news you were going to share?
Well, there's more rumors coming out that there's a new mobile foldable device coming from Microsoft. It may be using a new operating system. It could be a new Android variant or something like that they're working on. It could be like a foldable device, that kind of thing.
So I could really take a slam here. So Microsoft figured out they couldn't do it well on smartphones, so they decided to go back to flip phones with just a 1, 2, 3, and then in QWERTY query for you want to type a C in a text, you go A, B, C.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they have the plan to launch the Kin again.
Okay. I did hear they were making some integration so that some apps would be side by side. So if you are a Windows user and you have this application, and I talked about it in my last podcast on Geek News Central, basically it would allow you to have access to all your pictures, and it basically is a mirroring type of thing. So it plays well with Windows 10.
Yes. Okay.
So,
I mean, there has been a lot of rumors about that's the next big thing in devices is thin screen foldable devices, so you can carry a larger screen device with you and not have to take up as much physical space.
Right.
You can slide it in your pocket, and it can be like a 12-inch or 10-inch screen or something like that. So anyway, that's the rumor of what they're working on right now. Yep. So we'll see.
In the if you're on watching us live, which I'm seeing across the ecosphere, you are. We're live at newmediashow.com/live. There's a chat room there on YouTube, and then we're on Facebook as well. We're monitoring those two chat rooms. So hello to Rick and Daniel. Rick says, "Hey, good day. I don't know how long I can stay." And Rick's not from Australia. The wife has some things for me to do, and don't they always have stuff for us to do? And then Daniel's in with me, and he says, "Torquing or twerking?" There might be some difference. Yeah, yes. I guess.
As far as AdsWiz is concerned, I think either one will work.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, and then they also came out with another audio advertising format called the second screen. Well, that's revolutionary right there.
Yeah, that really helps podcasting.
And then weather targeting and location-based targeting. Okay.
Well, let's look at let's think about AdsWiz. Who owns AdsWiz now? Pandora. Mm-hmm.
And who did Pandora just get gobbled up by? Sirius XM.
That's right. So it's expensive to put those $1 billion satellites up. It's a lot easier to run 100 streaming channels.
Right. That's
a lot cheaper.
Sirius XM has been dabbling around in the podcasting space off and on for many years.
Mm-hmm.
So Pandora, who knows what Pandora is going to do in the future, but they likely will enter this podcasting medium at some point. We shall see.
Well, I hope they take lessons on what Spotify just did last week.
Yeah, right. We should probably talk about that, Todd.
Yeah, it's causing. Well, I don't know. It seems like we're just talking about Spotify and Apple a lot lately.
Well, that's because they're stirring the pot.
Yeah. Well, one thing. So, for those of you that I'm sure you're all aware already, their new portal was launched, and
For Spotify.
For Spotify, yeah. And you can go over there now if you are not. Okay, this is the weird thing. I had a meeting almost immediately with Spotify, and Spotify said, well, look, if you're one of your podcasters submit with us, it's cool. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, how do we get their stats? They're not linked no more because they're going to you, and you said if they select Blueberry or Spreaker or Libsyn, that you'll send us the stats. Oh yeah, we'll send you the stats. I'm like, so let's set the expectation. Are you going to have them give them stats on your site and also send to us, or are you not going to show it on your site and send it to us? And so, well, we'll get back to you. I'm like, oh, great. And then, so we do a different type of, because we've been required, and this is the complexity of this, and I don't know if you guys had to do this, but when we did the partnership deal, we had to send them blueberry.com RSS feeds, even though the podcaster was at their domain.com. We had to set up a mirror system in our platform. That was part of the deal.
Well, we had to generate a unique feed URL for them.
So,
and mainly the reason for that for us was because we utilized more of an automated dynamic ad insertion platform that podcasters can opt into. But as per the deal, we can't submit shows over there that have dynamic ad insertion because guess what? They're caching every episode, right? So it completely breaks the monetization model.
Sure.
So we had to give them a separate feed. And as we've talked about on the show before, Spotify is doing special deals with networks now that are pass through. So those special networks can run dynamic advertising on Spotify, but nobody else can.
So I fought this, being me, and not wanting to have to do that.
Yeah, right.
And it's a battle I lost. And what do we want to do? So we spent the dev time and put in the stuff that we needed to do, and so we got everybody up on Spotify, auto submissions going on, and everybody's fat, dumb, and happy here because they're on.
Right.
And we're getting the stats data back, and then they open up this portal and say, okay. Now, I saw one of our friends post something on Facebook that was very, very stern, and I'm just like, well, that's not true. He says, you have to come over to our site and submit through us. Well, no, you don't.
Yeah.
You can go, your podcaster can go whichever way they want. And so we've had a meeting with them to say, okay, now I got the two dev heads talking. And I'm like, all right, you're going to send us the stats data back. How do I identify who this person is in your system? And I think they've got something worked out.
Well, you're in a little bit more of a unique situation than we are from the standpoint that you have people that are using their own domain names, right?
Mm-hmm.
As their feeds.
Right.
We don't really have that issue on our platform right now, so it's not as big of an issue.
And we've got people that are using stats and not hosting with us. So it's even more kind of convoluted. Yeah.
It is, yeah. And it's kind of how Spotify went to market with this.
Sure.
And I also saw right when this announcement went out of them launching this portal, there's a lot of confusion, even in the podcasting media, about what was going on.
Someone used
it. Was like Spotify's getting in the hosting business.
That's right. They're going to compete with Libsyn and Blueberry and Spreaker, and I'm just like, no. If they are, we'd have that would have topped the show. That would have went out. We would have been on that from the first second we started talking this morning.
Right. I mean, it's like if that was the case, folks, that would have mean that Spotify would be distributing podcasts to Apple. Right. That's not going to happen.
In what it is, I hate to say it, there's a couple of people in the space that are talking. They say we distribute your show. They use the word distribute as in push. Distribute means send. And we all know it's syndicate, not distribute.
Yeah, I mean, it is a pull medium.
Right.
You're putting things in an RSS feed, making them available.
Right.
Right. And it's up to the receiver to open the door for you and accept you. Right. So that's it's misunderstood at a fundamental level.
So the long story. So the writers, all these writers are out there. They still don't understand the underpinnings of the space is that cool little 3-letter thing, that 3-letter word, that foul word RSS.
It's the only 3-letter swear word that's out there.
That's right. So yes, so anyway, this is just more work. It's the podcasters that I'm happy for them that they can submit direct. I'm very happy. This will open the floodgates for, then you don't have to worry about being with a partner. You self-host. You can be wherever.
Right. And there is a big chunk of the podcast space that's still self-hosting.
Big chunk.
Yeah. And I think this is, that may be one of the reasons that Spotify did this, but I do think there's another reason why Spotify launched this portal.
Oh, do tell.
Well, I mean, I think that they have monetization ambitions, and this would be one way that they can start building relationships with podcasters.
Well, and another thing too is now I am talking to a team in New York, not a team in where there was kind of split. There were some people in the UK, but the team I'm talking to now is out of New York. And on Eastern Standard Time working hours.
Yep.
Because I got an email back because I said, I need to talk to you now. And they were like, well, how's, 3:30 Eastern sound? I'm like, oh?
Yeah, they have an office in New York.
So the team over there, and, and there was, I basically said, hey, I want to, I want pass-through. I keep saying that to everyone I can talk to. I want pass through. I want to be on pass through.
Right.
Now, most folks don't know too that there's a specific Spotify tag too. Spotify has an RSS tag, a unique tag to determine where a show comes from. But the portal precludes that. You don't have to have that tag in your feed because they ask you what your country of origin is when you sign up.
Yeah,
I collect it there. But anyway, there's just some stuff that they have to work through, and what I think's beautiful. This is the most beautiful thing. They gave out a new email address.
And
I did
notice that. I think it was Daniel shared that.
And I was like, So I said, everyone update your templates. Here is the response email address. So and
all those customer support questions, we know where those are going.
Go over there. Go over there. It's not our fault. We look still and we'll say, oh, your thing looks good on our side. There you go.
Todd's vacation notification has gone out. He's no longer working for Spotify.
So yes, so it'll turn out to be, now I can defer when it's not us. I can defer to Spotify and say, go over there, bother them.
We can't solve all of the issues.
No. I'm tired of being unpaid Spotify customer support. So at least my team is.
Yeah, right. Mike Dell's he's gone bonkers with that, hasn't he?
Well, we have a back channel, and it's kind of funny is that, do you use Slack or something like that for internal? Yeah. Do you have a rant channel?
Do we have a rant channel? No, we don't.
We have a rant channel. And it's where the team can go in and, rant. And it's just, because everyone's working, Mike's in Traverse City, I'm in Hawaii, and Mike can't stand up and,
right. Yeah.
So
he has to vent. He's kind of like what, like a tank of steam that gets built up.
Well,
And it has to blow.
all of us do, So we all do. So they put a rant in the. So hopefully that'll lower the rants. The rant channel would be a good podcast alone. Be able to read the rants.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, there is a Slack channel that we're both on that definitely shares a few rants.
It has a rant as well. You're right.
Yeah.
So anyway, this, it's good. We'll see what happens with this, and maybe Pandora, are you listening?
Yeah. Don't make these mistakes.
No, please do this.
That's right.
Please set up your own ingest portal. Please. Yeah, right. For the love of God, please.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. There's a lot of big questions about Pandora's entry into this medium.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see how this is going to go.
Yeah. So anyway, that is your weekly Spotify update. We need a little jingle.
That's right.
We need a
little Spotify jingle.
Yeah.
A little Spotify jingle for each of the segments.
Yeah.
And then an Apple jingle.
Yeah. Too. So we might as well flip into that. So this is your Apple podcast update. So we had a call. And immediately we're the first topic, number one topic. Matter of fact, we spent so much time on it. The other 7 items we had to rush through because we spent so much time talking about titles, authors, and descriptions.
Right. Yeah. And
here's
so is this with James or with their technical support?
I'd rather not say who we're talking to. I just, but talking with the Apple team. And here's the crux of titles, authors, and descriptions. Yep. Use common sense. There's really no written rules. But
are they going to write any written rules?
He says the variances of things podcasters do are too numerous, but the basic guidelines is a title. A title is a title.
Right.
New media show. Not new media show, semicolon, or dash with Todd and Rob. Or new media.
You have new media show with Rob and Todd?
Maybe. I don't know. Again, a little bit of it's really rough. And I think what they're really going after is the new media show, semicolon or dash, a show that talks about podcasting and everything new media. That, they want that out, in my opinion. Again, they didn't say it directly.
That belongs in the description, not in the podcast title. Right?
But the description's not searchable. So, and then authors, Alex Jones, that's probably a bad word to use, John Jones, or Tammy Jones, or John and Tammy Jones, or John Smith and Amy Smith. You follow my deal here. No, not Amy Smith talks about podcasting. None of that.
Yeah.
Author, only author, name only, that's it. And descriptions, and we made a change to PowerPress because we had a feature where you could append, and this really worked fantastic for search. So, for example, I could append, let's say I call today's show podcast news and events. In the episode, it would show up podcast news and events dash new media show. They don't want anything repetitive on the end of the episode name or anything that, again, looks like keyword stuffing. It has to be a description, a concise written description of an episode. And people are pissed. I posted some of this in Facebook, and there's still an ongoing discussion about this. Don't shoot the messenger here. As far as I know, episode numbers are not being hammered on at all.
Yeah.
Like when someone said yet. So I understand what they're doing. Rob. They're trying to clean up this stuff that people have been doing that's ridiculous. 500 character title.
Did they talk at all about on the call in relation to old dead? Well, I mean, I shouldn't say old dead feeds, because I mean old archive feeds that have limited episodes, or actually removing those from the catalog. Is there any discussion on that?
I didn't talk about that. I did say though that we get the brunt of podcasters' frustration when someone goes and looks at the top 200 list and sees someone doing exactly what they're trying to do, but they haven't been. I said, you can't have it both ways. And I said, people are talking about this, right? And I was kind of blunt. Well, I was blunt. But it's not fair. If you're going to do this to existing and new podcasters, you have to go in and you got to go in and clean up the other stuff. You can't just, there can't be two rule sets. I probably just made a bunch of friends in the podcasting space saying that to them.
So I wonder if Apple would ever go in and edit your title.
No, I don't think so. I think they just delist. And also they're going to start they're working on the template. It's not done. They're working on the template responses that podcasters get instead of this generic email. They're going to try to be more specific. You've been removed because of title violation or
that's good.
Something in there.
Yeah, so the podcaster actually knows what they have to change in order to be compliant.
Instead of my support team saying, "Hey," and then us getting a double barrel shotgun to the face because we're jerks.
Right. Right.
Because we don't do editorial. We don't care what I don't care. Whatever you want to call, you use 500 characters in your title, fine. You want to use 800 in your author tag, I don't care.
Yeah.
That's not...
the host always gets blamed for anything that goes sideways.
Yeah.
Usually.
It's our fault. And again, that's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah.
Everyone's going, Todd's crying. No, I know.
Right. I mean, we all want to help podcasters do the right thing, but truth of the matter is, this Apple situation has been a moving target. We haven't really known entirely what they're doing or what their requirements are. Mm-hmm. And I'm really hoping that they put out some sort of a document that lays out at least some parameters of what they're trying to accomplish in each of these areas. Sure, they can't cover every scenario, right?
Right.
But I think they can make a recommendation that is pretty clear. I mean, I could write a document that would be pretty clear on this.
Yeah. I could too. But
there's going to be edge cases that will not be clear. But but if you're following just the basic concepts, right, and you have a podcast name, you just put the name in there, and that's all you do, and it's really pretty simple. But people like to, like you say, there's been a lot of podcasters that have keyword stuffing, like they'll put the name of the show and then they'll have like a dash, and then it'll be like every name in the book.
It was effective. It was effective.
So Apple kind of left the door open because they were basing all their search on that title.
On three things: title, author, and episode description. Hey, Greg Arito in the chat room. Oh, it just slid off. He says, your jingles are on the way. And have you ever thought of have we thought of a community Slack channel for this show? It's kind of a good idea.
Yeah. It could just be a rant channel.
Yeah, Greg.
The whole thing just be a rant channel.
Greg, consider it done. We'll get it set up, and we'll have a link to it in the show notes tonight. Yeah, why not? Yeah, more
the new media show rants.
More the merrier. Well, not rants. Come on, we just if people want to rant too. Okay. Daniel says I use Slack for my podcast society membership group. Rick says I think the title, author, description rules are pretty much straightforward. Yeah, I agree, Rick. But you and I are like we've been in this thing since the beginning.
Right.
This Rick Savoya, he's been podcasting since, God was a child here. He's been as long as you and I have been, Rob. Dave sent, I spent 2 hours addressing these problems the other day without knowing why shows weren't showing up and why they had been pulled. So, so Apple had an issue. It was compounded. So what day did we have the meeting? Tuesday or something, maybe Wednesday. I don't know. Well, anyway, yeah, it was Tuesday. Yeah, we had a call late Tuesday afternoon. And then I saw this huge surge Wednesday morning of shows that were screaming, my podcast is missing or it's not updating. So they had some shows were affected where a number of shows weren't updating on the iTunes store, or when you search for a show, it showed no episodes. The show listing was there, but there was no episodes and it was Apple had an issue. But then intermixed in there was a whole bunch of shows that got to boot.
Oh, jeez.
So we were having to say, okay, did you get booted because of a description, or are you just part of this group that is not updating? And my show was not updating as well. And I'm just like, okay, Apple has trouble from time to time, and but yeah. So Dave had to deal with that, and it's kind of frustrating, but it is what it is. So
yes,
that wraps up your Apple podcast update.
Yeah, right. Somebody had to do it.
Yeah.
So,
and I know the Apple folks listen. We love you. We love you, Apple. But you guys need to start your own podcast. Wouldn't that be novel?
Apple start their own podcast.
Yeah, they should start. The Apple podcast team should start their own show, and like once a month put on an episode.
That's an interesting idea.
Because they'll have to record it, and then it'll take a month to get it through legal.
I spent years doing a podcast for Microsoft. It's not that. You just, of course, they're a little different situation.
Oh, come on now.
Yeah.
No, Apple controlleth the message at all levels.
Yes. But James, the fearless leader over there, I mean, he gets up there and does. I was just watching some of them just this last week. He gets up on stage and presents stuff.
Yeah,
I don't know.
He was.
I don't know if everybody's watched that.
And he joined
most recent one.
He joined a couple of my podcast threads too, and people were, asking scenarios, and I'm kind of like, so he did jump in and say, hey, if you ever have a question about your show title or whatever, come over and ask us. I was like, oh, well, that's cool. Okay, so there you have it, folks. Go to the Podcast Connect's website and submit a ticket. Say, be prepared. Is my title okay? Is my author? Am I going to get booted? Am I? So right. If you have those questions, they will answer you. So
that's good.
Yeah. But and I think it's better for a show to go over there and ask instead of me having to try to explain it, to be frank.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That is true.
We got a lot of people on today. Hey, folks on YouTube, welcome. Those of you on Twitter as well. Goodness, we got a good crowd today. Make sure you check in the chat room and say hi, if you would. Appreciate it. Yes, Dave, it keeps you employed. Your paycheck is assured.
Dave who? Who is
Dave Clements. He's one of our support team members.
Gotcha.
So Dave primary. You'll see him pop in. For those of you that are with Blueberry, you'll see him once in a while, Monday through Thursday, but he typically handles Friday through Monday. He's Friday through Sunday, largely.
Well, Todd, we didn't really talk about the podcast disappearing from Apple, though.
Well, that's when people get the boot. Well,
is that really true? I got the impression that Apple was just having some technical problems.
Oh, they were. They had something. It wasn't the podcast didn't disappear. The episodes disappeared.
Oh, okay.
If the podcast disappeared, that's bigger. That's probably a Um,
A boot.
Yeah, a boot. Yeah. I shouldn't say a boot. It's a suspension.
Suspension.
Yeah.
So do they notify you when they get and when you get suspended, or is it just it's not there anymore?
I think most folks have just been finding it. I don't know.
Not finding
Dave and Mike, are they getting emails saying that they were delisted? I don't think so. I think majority of people come to us in freak out mode.
Well, and not everybody has an active or
their email address that they have on their RSS.
Email.
Yeah, their RSS feed is one that they check every 2 years.
Right.
That's one thing too. If you don't monitor the email that's in your RSS feed, shame on you. Change that email to something you're checking on a daily basis. Now, granted, you're going to get spammed by the occasional company that's offering to pay you to move. Oh, did you hear about that?
What's that?
Oh man, this is all right. Are we done with Apple?
I think so.
Okay. So there was I think I saw this like last weekend or maybe Monday. There was a podcaster in one of the podcast forums said he got an email from a podcasting company that said, "Hey, we love your content. We would love to have you move over to us. We have a sponsorship deal for you for 60 days."
Oh, yeah, Okay.
A 60-day sponsorship deal. We're going to run advertising for 60 days, and then we will work with you to continue to find sponsors for your show.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. So do we want to say who that was? Are you going to do it?
Go ahead.
Well, you put it on my shoulders, huh?
Anchor. Yeah.
Or, yeah. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
They are willing to go to great lengths.
They're willing to pay for 60 days. Now, what happens after 60 days?
Well, you're locked into their platform.
You've moved your show, your feed, you're dealing with their terms of service. And the podcaster they sent it to is a longtime podcaster. He's very loyal to the hosting service he's with, and he's laughing about it. Like, they don't know me. But, that's one podcaster that... Yeah,
did you hear what the advertising deal was, though?
No, nothing on. If someone got that email and followed through, find out what they're paying. Find out what you can make for 60 days. Maybe, but your show listed 2 places for a little while. But...
Well, speaking of listed in 2 places, there were some shows that were duplicated on Spotify.
Right.
For a certain period of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was another thing I talked to Spotify about, the risk of dupes.
Right. Yeah.
And please don't use RSS feeds as your core sorting agent. Please, sort on show name or as one of your options. But yeah, so anyway, wow, they're willing to write checks to have people move. It's one of 2 things. It's a fantastic marketing ploy.
It is good marketing ploy.
Sure.
It's going to cause them to burn through their venture capital.
Well, absolutely. Or number 2, hints of desperation. Or both.
They're getting a big percentage of the new podcaster signups these days.
Okay. Yeah. Just go ahead and analyze that, please.
I know. I'm not saying that it's good to have that many.
Yeah, that's good, dude. We're getting a lot of people moving over. We're moving 4 or 5 a week. It's not a lot, but we're graduating shows into into adult platforms.
Yeah. So yeah. We'll see how that plays, right? Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, so we'll see. But lots of announcements going on in the space. It's kind of the news cycle slowed down a little bit. But it is kind of, it's, hey, you got millions of dollars to burn. It's $50 to a podcaster, for a couple of months.
Well, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. I would imagine that they're probably sending that email to more popular shows, I would imagine, but I don't really know who they're targeting.
How do they know they're popular? How do they even know what size they are?
Maybe they go into Apple and they pick the top ranked ones and go into their feeds and get their email address.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We're also seeing that, and I saw an example from someone, and I don't want to give up my sources here. And I think, Rob, you know who this is too, but these promoters that are out there, these Fiverr promoters.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I'm
constantly getting barraged by those guys.
And I've got a list because they follow me on LinkedIn, or they ask to be friends on LinkedIn. So I'm up to about 20 names of people on. So I just do a screen capture of their name, and I turn them into LinkedIn for being spammers.
And I've responded to a couple of them, just scolding the heck out of them.
Well, someone that we know took the initiative and said, "Hey, sounds great. Who have you helped already? Can you send me a list of shows?"
Right.
And they did. They sent him a list of shows that they helped manipulate the Apple Podcast chart. I was like, "Oh my God, this is beautiful," because now we know, or he knows, the show's names and can go watch them in the Apple Podcast chart.
Right. Yeah.
So I thought, beautiful. Yeah. Don't do this. Don't do this.
I'm sure Apple is tracking this down.
I mean, Apple needs to fix it.
Right.
And they said some time ago they were going to fix it, and they haven't fixed it.
Yeah. Too many issues, too little time.
But it was, I laughed. I said, "Oh, let me look at," and you looked at the show names. You're like, yeah. And it kind of just, we do have a underbelly of some shows that are a little, I shouldn't call them underbelly shows, but they're a little swarmy. Is that the right word to use?
Swarmy or schmarmy? Schmarmy.
I think swarmy is just a word I just made up. Kind of like shawarma, but swarmy. Because shawarmas are fantastic.
Schmarmy.
But they're just kind of, you can just tell by the show name, it's maybe some come over here, I'm going to get you rich today type of show. One of those kinds. Yeah.
Hey, Todd, I've also noticed that this flurry of these groups, whether it be Google and PRX or what's the other one? Casting Call from, and then another one. ABC Australia has just announced the results of their $700,000 podcasting fund to attract new podcasts. There's a lot of kind of I don't know if I'd call them contests, but kind of promotional tools that a lot of I don't know. I think a lot of it links up with public radio to some degree, but trying to recruit new podcast creators.
Yep.
And offering support and hosting and all this kind of stuff. It seems to be having these contests, like Google is now working with PRX.
Yep.
In this creators program.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a pathway, as they say, to increase diversity in voices in the industry, to make sure content is available for all audiences. You can apply for the first round until November 18th. So if you want to apply it it's just a way to recruit new content creators. And I did notice this down at DragonCon. I was on a panel, and maybe I mentioned this in a prior episode, but it was like a Shark Tank for podcasting at DragonCon.
Right.
And he just had a lineup of people that wanted to present their new show ideas to the panel to get feedback from us, mm-hmm. right? On, is that show concept a good idea or not? And there's some terrific ideas that people have out there for shows. So I think that, some of these programs can be good. I mean, if it'll bring, increased support. I mean, this kind of dovetails back for me as I think about the medium. I think 2019 is going to be all about growing audience. I think that's. I don't know, Todd, you're probably hearing the same thing, but I just get barraged with people. How do I get a larger audience? How do I grow my audience? How do I get bigger? Because people want to monetize, and people realize you got to get a big audience to make any money at this. So everybody's hammering, how do you grow audience? And if content creators can go work with a big platform like PRX or ABC Australia or some big platform that has resources to support, whether it be Gimlet or whether some of these entities that are known for creating compelling content and building large audiences, people will clamor to associate themselves with those tools because it may be a pathway to large audiences. And I think that's the big ambition, Todd. I don't know what you think about all that. If you agree, or is there some derivative that you think is going on here that is at play? What's your thoughts?
Well, the plan that Google put forth is it indicates diversity.
Right.
But in the beginning, they said it was going to be all about diversity. And I'm reading this Google Podcast Creator Program page, and they mention it, but I think it's not as well. Maybe I'm wrong, but it says, develop the barriers to podcasting, increase the diversity of voices. So maybe it is going to be strictly a diversity program. If it is, that's fine. We need more voices. We need more, be honest with you, the ladies are starting to rock it, across the space. I don't think we can say that the women are underserved at this point. You look at the Podcast Award winners this year. The ladies cleaned up big time in the winter categories. So, but diversity as far as women of color and that type of stuff, of course, I'm sure we want more. Well, we need more for sure. So I don't know. We'll see. I think these programs are. Let me just go back to your question. Yes, I think these are all good because everyone should be able to have a voice, and
right.
The good thing about podcasting is the barrier to entry is so low at this point. Almost no one should not be able to have a voice in the podcasting space if they want one.
But a lot of people need help getting started.
Yeah, that's true.
And I mean, I probably like you and your team, we get a lot of people approaching us wanting help to get started and how to get started, and is their idea good, and is there, what's the pathway? What's the pathway of least resistance? What's the easiest way to do it? What's the most effective way? How do I get visibility? How do I grow audience? I mean, these questions are like really fundamental that are coming up more. I mean, they've been around forever. I mean, these are not new questions by any stretch of the imagination, but it just feels like as the competition grows in this medium and the bar of expectations around quality and the types of content that are out there, people are looking for guidance and what is the best path, and I believe that like this Google Podcast Creators Program is part of trying to fulfill that need.
But it's gonna fill the need for tens or hundreds of shows, not thousands of shows. So that's the
yeah, and I guess it gets back to what kind of funding the organization has, what's the visibility of the organization. Google is really, I believe they're really focused on more on the listener side. So they want to be associated with helping good content be created out there because I believe they have a philosophy that good content creates more listeners. But that's what they're focused on, right? Is trying to build audiences to this medium. Though I think Google's initiatives up to this point have been a little weak and lacking focus of what they're trying to accomplish. I think they're trying to, they really need to shut down Google Play podcasts and funnel all the energies into that. I see a lot of content creators, podcasters confusing Google Play podcasts with Google Podcasts. Like they'll put up the Google Podcast link and it'll link to the Google Play stuff, or they still have the Google Play stuff and it links to the Google Podcast.
They should redirect Google.
It's all over the place.
Yeah. Well, my philosophy has always been that sustained, superior, consistent content wins the day. But it's
over the long term, right?
But and it's the grind. That's my favorite word right now. You just got to grind. You got to grind it out.
Same with this show. I think we're a classic example of this. I mean, back when we started doing this show, it was the Saturday Morning Tech Show, and we didn't have that big of an audience listening to this thing.
Yeah.
And then over the successive years, I mean, literal years, I don't know how many years we've been doing this, Todd. It's probably at least 7 or 8, probably.
Yeah, it's been a while. Let's see if I can figure out, by looking at the new media show, what is, I don't know if I have the other content intermixed in here or not. Go ahead.
It goes all the way back that far. But this Google Podcast Creators Program, it looks like the first round will accept of applications, right? So what I was going to go look at, it looks like you have to create an account, which I don't have, but I was going to look at it. It says here, Google Podcast Creators Program is an accelerator program developed to lower barriers to podcasting and increase the diversity of voices, which really, the whole diversity of voices thing can be anything, right?
Right.
It doesn't have to be diversity from an ethnic perspective or race or anything like that. It can just be diversity of all sorts of topics. And it was kind of what I saw at DragonCon. I mean, all sorts of ideas from women, men, African Americans, Asian folks, all coming forward with great ideas.
Right.
And it is diversity of voices, right? It says here, in the industry globally, selected teams will receive seed funding and participate in an intensive 20-week training program. So it's kind of a little bit like a mastermind, I guess.
Yeah.
Which is probably a derogatory term here to describe it. That's probably not what it is. It's really just, it's kind of like what we get asked for is consulting, right? This is training on how to do this to be successful. And it said there will be 2 training cohorts, which I'm not sure what that really means, but 2 people training, each consisting of 6 teams of 2 to 3 members per team. So it's a little confusing. But it'll open in April of 2019. So it's an interesting thing. But the big message that I wanted to say by reading this was that they're doing exactly what they're providing some funding to get started, and it's almost like a grant almost is what they're doing, and then they're offering training on how to really produce quality content. Let's just hope it's good advice.
Well, if you look at this show in its current version, we switched mid-show, April 7th of 2013. Mid-show, we said, we're not going to call this a Saturday Morning Tech Show anymore. We're going to call it the New Media Show. And the first episode of the new show started on April 14th, 2013. So
that's been 5 years.
5 years, 5.5, 5.25 years, whatever it is. But let's go and think about how long were we doing Saturday Morning Tech? We're doing that for 2, 3 years before that.
Yeah. I thought that we were at like 7 or 8 years doing this.
Yeah. So I'll go back and find the official number, but yeah, you're right. So we've been grinding at this thing. Matter of fact, my wife said this morning, she says, "You get tired of waking up at 4:45 on Saturdays?" And I'm like, clocks change next week. I don't have to get up as early.
It's next week?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's next week.
Wow. Okay. Time to be back in the darkness again.
So beautiful. Anyway. For me, it's the East Coast.
I know, right?
It's like an extra hour of sleep. Yes.
Right. But if you look at the pathway that this show's been on over the years, it would be really interesting to see what the audience growth pattern looked like, right?
Slow and steady.
So did we see a growth spurt that happened after we changed the name, or was it just been a steadily, and what were we doing with this show that caused certain growth spurts?
Well, I think over the last 14 months, we've seen significant growth in the show, and I think people are tuning in more, and we're getting, it's just like anything else. It's cumulative. You get 100 listeners, and they tell 5, and then those 5 or 3 that join the show tell people, and it just takes time. It's a word of mouth type thing.
Well, and I tell folks that are attending my speaking engagements at conferences and to tune into this show. And, and I guess it just accumulates over time. I know you do as well.
But, and also we have a unique advantage because we do a lot of speaking gigs. So, the average podcaster is not doing as much of that. But it goes back to part of my formula that I even shared on International Podcast Day. I was like, you need to get out there and speak. You need to go and ask to speak at the Lions Club or at the Chamber of Commerce, or, you just need to start local, and then, build your speaking skills, because it's better to start at those smaller groups where you can screw up and then get your, because speaking to a group is a lot different than doing a podcast.
Right.
You just have, there's certain things you just have to do, and then continue to build outwards from there. Is try to get national and speak at events and stuff. I think my philosophy on this whole growing your show thing is in one person asked me how, for example, I talked about, and we've talked about this on the show before, how did you find, or I don't have time to do this. That was the comment. I have time to do the show, and I don't have time to do this other stuff. Well,
all of the marketing and get the word out kind of stuff. Right?
Sorry, you have to.
Yeah.
You and it doesn't
have to build it into your normal routine.
Right.
What you do.
Right. You have to, and it doesn't take a lot of effort. Right. A couple hours a week. At a minimum, but at the same point, I understand people's challenges. They got families, they got kids, they have a job.
Right.
And so that's why I wake up at 4:45 in the morning.
Yeah.
And get an extra hour in the morning doing stuff for me, and then before I get ready to, do business for the day.
Yeah.
So it's you got to decide. I don't sleep. I sleep more than I used to.
Right.
But that if you're going to build a show, you got to build. That's the only thing you can do. You got to put the time in.
Yeah. So Todd, I was just on the page for Ozpod. Are you familiar with that?
I am. I've heard about Ozpod. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess their event is coming up October 17th, and this is a podcasting conference down in Australia.
Are they having any US-based speakers at all?
I thought Dave Jackson was going down to it.
Oh,
I'm not sure here.
Cool.
Let me look at it here.
Well, they got a speaker list here.
Yeah. I thought Dave was going down there.
Let me look. Is there anybody here that I recognize? There's James.
Yeah,
Joanne
James.
Wu. I'm familiar with her. And it's largely Australian folks, but as you would expect.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
A good-looking bunch of speakers.
Yeah.
These people have faces for TV too, Rob. There's, usually.
Well, it's associated with the ABC folks in Australia.
Okay.
That's probably why. Looks like Sharon Taylor from Omni Studio is going to be there.
Okay. Well, anyway, those of you that listen to the show...
I guess I don't see... Oh, Zach.
Oh, I did.
At the bottom of the list. Zach from Google.
Oh, he's going down. Oh, nice. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. Well, he gets a trip to Australia. Very nice.
It's spring down there now.
Yeah.
Yep.
So any of you that listen to the show from Australia, we'd love to hear the highlights from the show. Maybe we can get James on after the event. Maybe we can get him on to give us a rundown on Ozpod. But it's a single day event.
Yeah, I thought I heard Dave Jackson was going down there for some sort of podcasting event.
Well, does anybody know?
It's probably not Ozpod then.
Well, maybe Libsyn's got a booth down there, and maybe he's going down and manning the booth or something.
I don't know. I think maybe it was a different event.
Okay.
But anyway.
It's a long ways to go for a one-day event. Long ways to go.
You know, we should probably get Dave on the show sometime.
Yeah, has he been on before?
I think. Well, I don't know.
I don't know.
Unless you had him on, when I wasn't available at one time. I don't know. But I thought you had like Daniel on at one time. Daniel and I think it was maybe Daniel and
yeah, Dave hasn't been on the show since 2014.
Okay.
I'm searching right now. And Daniel hasn't been on since 2015. Daniel's hair was a little longer then. I'm looking at the...
It doesn't matter.
And Rob, you had a little more hair too. So
I know.
It's amazing what 3 years does to all of us.
That's right. Yeah, it's all downhill. So anyway, what else is going on?
I think when you rang in this morning, you just said I'm slammed, and I think that's the appropriate word. We're spending a lot of time with brand new podcasters that have
doing that. Plus, I'm going to 2 conferences in the next 2 weeks. I'm going to be back in Toronto on a panel at the Rain Summit on podcasting. So up in Canada, actually, the next 3 or 4 months, 2 to 3 months, there's going to be a lot of Canadian stuff going on. So I'm going to be back in Toronto next week, and then in November I'm going to be up at the Vancouver Podcast Festival up in Vancouver.
Nice.
So I'm going to be on a panel up there, and going to be sponsoring that event up there. And
you can drive up to that one.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. So I think I'm probably. Well, I don't know if I'm going to drive. I might. That's actually a good idea. I was thinking I might fly, but I don't know.
So, just for everyone's planning purposes, there will be no show next Saturday. I'm headed back to the East Coast. I'm going to spend a week in the office in Columbus.
Okay.
So any of you that are in striking distance, I'll be in the office Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in Columbus. Anybody that wants to meet up. Then actually Tuesday, Wednesday night will be the only 2 nights I'll be able to meet up. Thursday night I drive up to Michigan to see my mom, but other than that, I'll be and so we'll do the Saturday show the week after next on Spreaker because I'll be not in the studio.
So I'm going to be back in New York at the National Association of Broadcasters conference that next week.
Oh,
but I should be back.
You'll be home.
I should be back by Saturday.
Okay.
So.
All right. We'll plan it by ear then.
So you're talking about the 20th of October, you're going to be needing to do it over just live audio?
Yeah, because I will not have the studio. So it's over 2 weekends. The 13th, I'm actually in the air. And this is what I get for getting airline tickets at the last minute. I went online yesterday, and the only thing that was not stratospheric price point, I have to go to Newark and then back to Columbus. So yeah, from here to Newark, that's a 10-hour haul.
Right, that's a long trip.
Yep.
Yeah.
And hopefully, I'll catch an upgrade. Fingers crossed.
And I'm going to go to the podcast movement meetup that's going on in downtown New York City on the 16th.
Okay.
So I guess Dan and Jared are putting on an event there because they're collaborating with the NAB.
Oh, nice.
So they're going to be helping with the content and have a booth at the NAB. So there's more of a collaboration going on between Podcast Movement and the NAB folks.
We haven't heard anything from the NAB folks for next year. I heard we're getting moved, but I haven't heard anything about booths. And have you heard anything on that?
Yeah, I've already been assigned to my new booth. It's basically the same location that we had last year, as far as the same kind of configuration.
Yeah.
It's just going to be in the central hall.
Okay. I guess I need to call them. I saw something on it and need to find out what's going on. I know where we're at.
So basically what they did is they took the configuration pretty much that they had from last year and just moved it to central hall.
Okay.
So is what they did. So we're in the same exact location as far as, it's in a different hall, but
right.
the same place. Right.
I see. So you're going to be kitty corner to where we were. Same type of deal. All right.
Right. Yeah. So that's what's going on with that.
Central. But, I'm going to tell you, folks, you guys don't know how big of a deal this is to get into Central Hall.
Right.
People spend years trying to get into Central Hall at LBCC.
There's a huge amount of traffic that flows through.
Yeah, this is it's good. It's really good.
Yeah, that's where most people go first. Is the Central Hall, and at the NAB New York coming up the 17th and the 18th. The 17th, 18th. The Podcast Movement meetup in New York is on the 16th. So if you want it, that's on Facebook. So if you wanted to go to that, I think it's open to the public.
Are they having a booth at NAB? Or?
I believe so, but I'm not 100% sure of that. I know that Rob's going to be there.
Yeah, they do that show. They go to that particular event.
I don't want to say Rob. Lipson's going to be there.
Rob Walsh, yeah.
So we're going to be kind of kitty corner from each other. I'm going to be in a different aisle.
Oh, so you're actually manning a booth this year.
Yeah.
Yep. I would be curious to see how this works out for you, because we've opted not to go to that show.
Yeah, I don't know yet either. This is the first time I've been to this show, but I know Lipson's been there every year for the last couple of years, so I don't want them to get the exclusive opportunity there.
So none of us have going to the radio show. None of us have done that show.
Yeah, that actually went on, I think, this past week.
Yeah, right? It was just happened.
And I did hear that there was some podcasting panels down there. I guess Norm Padditz was down there.
Oh, you haven't heard too much from Norm. Norm's been laying low.
Yeah, well, he was down there at that event. I saw a photograph of him down there. It looked like that was a pretty good event down there.
Oh, good.
I was thinking that I probably should have gone, but I don't know though. It's a tough one to know, because I've been to those radio events before, and they are very much radio events.
Right.
So that was the only real reason I didn't go.
And also, just for everyone's perspective, it's hard to decide whether or not you're going to do one of these events, because, just Rob, I'm looking at, your booth probably costs you $5,000. Then you're set up as whatever you bring in, there's another $1,000. And New York is not cheap. It's $500 a night in New York, $400.
Well, I got a better deal than that. I only paying like $240 a night, $230 a night.
So that's you did a steal. You shopped around for that. I did. That's probably typically it's about $400 a night to be in Manhattan.
Right.
And then food in New York is it's really cheap to eat in Manhattan.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And
eat light.
And then transportation. So just for you and your booth, it's $10,000. That's a minimum that you're going to spend.
I'm the only one that has to travel, Todd. So
it's still a 10. Your airfare is $1,000 round trip. Or 800.
No, it wasn't that much.
Okay, so when I leave here,
like 500 bucks,
Well,
400
see,
bucks.
I'm so jaded because it's
I know
like
you're further away.
I'm
so of course it's
15.
gonna
I'm
be more
almost
expensive.
$1,500 from anywhere.
It's odd.
But still, by the time you guys get done with all your expenses, it's going to be 10 grand
Right.
for that booth. So
I don't think it'll be quite that much. but
okay, so you spend 8. All right, so so
yeah, what's money, Todd? Come on.
okay. Well, money's money. Money's employees. Money's dev time.
I'm giving you a hard time. Yeah. No, agreed.
So we're going to actually be at the Boston here shortly at a event that's a little bit. It's kind of focused on podcasting a little bit, but we're going to be
Boston, huh?
Yeah, there's an event in Boston. So with
Boston.
I think it's being done with. I'll have to look, see if I can pull it up. I have an event. Anyway, it's a ways off yet. It's not this week. Let me see if I can find it. No, doesn't matter. I'm failing here. But other than that, I think the year, it's hard to believe it's October already. That's the thing that just blows me away, is that we're this late at this point already. It's just, this year's just flown by, and it's been a good year. I can't complain, but yeah, it's just been busy.
Yeah. So Todd, did you spend any time looking at this new app, this new iOS kind of podcast related app called Intel?
No, did you?
No. Well, I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, I guess it's a podcast app that's a little bit more kind of it has other content, right? It has pictures, maps, links, quotes, chapters to your favorite shows in a rich interactive experience. So it launches with a special version of M&S sponsored. It's a piece of content, I guess, but I guess it's trying to blend other media elements in with podcasting. And there's been many companies that have tried to do this, and what they all fundamentally don't understand is that when people listen to audio, they turn on the audio and they slide their phone in their pocket.
Right.
They're not interacting with the screen while they're listening to the podcast. That's just not what people typically do.
Yeah. Yeah, there's just no reason. I start a podcast and immediately either the phone goes face down or it's in my pocket, or usually I'm in my car and it's on the charger stuck in my coffee cup holder. Or
yeah, I mean, because more than likely what people are going to be doing is they're going to be probably listening to the podcasts and they'll be scrolling through their Facebook.
Right.
That's probably the most likely scenario. If they're doing something else on their phone, it's probably not going to be looking at a bunch of pictures that's related to the podcast. So, yeah, it's probably not.
I can't find this paperwork. I'm trying to find this event that's happening in Boston, and maybe I should search for Boston. Maybe that'll actually help me find the info.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. Yeah. Boston. I'm surprised you hadn't heard about this one. Let's see. Is there a link?
Well, there's so many podcasting events popping up all over the place now. I know that the Outlier folks had an event down in LA last week.
Any word on how that went? Did you get any?
I don't know. I was invited to go down to it and be on panels and all this stuff, but I just didn't. There's only so much I can go to. Right. I can't go to all these things. It just came down to that. I had too many other projects going on. But yeah, I'm not familiar. So where was this located at?
It's going to be in Boston. In Boston. To tell you how important it is, I can't even rattle it. Yeah, off the top of my head. So, okay, it's called SoundCloud. What? It's being done by Outlier. It is.
Yeah. This is the one that's being held at Harvard, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay, I got invited to that one too.
Okay, so we'll be at that.
So are you going to be at it, or
Mackenzie's going to be at it?
McKinsey's going to do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So again, it's another one of those that's really hard to travel for me just to go to a very short event. Dan,
well, and it's close for McKinsey too.
Right.
So,
yeah.
I mean, it's a long way for me to go. So.
Yeah. So it's I believe it's a single day. It's actually, well, they're having something at PRX.
Yeah, I think it's a day and a half.
They're having something at Podcast Garage on Thursday.
Right.
At PRX. And then Friday is a full day of activities. Let's see, what do we have? And what do they have on Saturday? Do they have anything on Saturday? Let me keep scrolling. And Saturday they have, actually, they've got some stuff going on. They've got what they call public talks and the keynote by Dan Carlin, public talks again. So it is a 2-day event, but it looks like the first day is more locked in on. So we're involved in one session, I believe, that's going on that day. And I think we are sponsoring as well.
Yeah. Okay.
So
that's good.
But anyway,
are you guys, go ahead.
It's an event for someone, if anyone is interested, it's soundeducation.fm is the website, and it happens in November 1st.
Right. And, are you guys all locked in for PodCon? Because it's been hard to kind of coordinate with them because the person that's been coordinating the sponsorship and events is she's on maternity leave. So
I don't think so. I don't think we're.
Yeah, I've been trying to get locked in for it, but I haven't been able to because she's been out.
Well, that's fast. Well, it's not that fast approaching, but
it's the end of January. Yeah.
Yeah, it's another event. So here's my daughter is, I think I told you this. My daughter's expecting. Her and her husband are expecting. So
Grandpa.
So I leave here Christmas afternoon. I actually fly out the evening of Christmas and go into Tampa on the 26th. They're going, if the baby hasn't arrived, this is hard when you're not local. When do you go? Because babies have a mind of their own when they're going to deliver.
Uh-huh.
So
I tried to time it with my own daughter, and I missed it by about 6 hours.
So her and I talked about it, and the doctor said if she doesn't deliver by the 25th, they will induce the morning of the 26th.
Oh, induce.
Right. Okay. So I said, okay, I can make, and if you do a ticket the last minute, you know how they,
they stick it to you.
They stick it to you. So, and I've got miles, but it's always tricky on miles. And so I said, why don't I just plan on coming the 26th, and I'll be there for 3-4 days, and we know the baby will be there directly, and if it hasn't come already on the 26th. So, once again, it's going to be crazy. I'm going to go to Tampa, spend 3-4 days with my ex-wife and the new baby, and the baby will be fun.
Right.
And my daughter and her husband are fantastic. I get along with my ex-wife, but you know how that is.
Sure.
Well, maybe you don't. But anyway.
Kind of.
So I'm staying with my daughter, so that's the good thing. I don't have to worry about getting a hotel. I'll be with her. And probably my mom and sister's coming down. But, no one cares to hear about this. But then I get back, and I'm home like 4 days, and then I leave for Vegas for CES.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and then right after CES, I think I'm already scheduled to start doing a East Coast tour again. So I think I leave from Vegas and go to the East Coast. So it's going to be, January's going to be blasted. It's January's going to be a crazy month.
Yeah, and then you're going to be in Seattle for PodCon too, which is, I believe, on the 19th.
So I'm not going to go to PodCon.
You're not?
I'm not.
You've opted out of it.
Yes,
okay.
So we'll send some team members to PodCon. But let's be frank.
Todd, we're going to miss you. All those teenagers are going to miss you, Todd.
Rob, you don't need to be at PodCon either.
Well, I live in Seattle. So
okay. So those that are listening, you're going to PodCon. I think the oldest person there is like 26. So no, the last thing they need to see is a gray-haired, aging dude talking about podcasting. So we're going to send.
That's what hair dye is for, right?
You have to have hair to dye hair. So
just paint my scalp.
So I'm going to send young team members to PodCon as they don't need to see me.
Okay. You could just be behind the curtain,
directing
things.
No.
Okay.
Well, come on. Let's be frank. Last year when we were at the event, we were like out of our element. This was
Todd. We should put on a costume, and they won't know we're old.
Wear one of those horse heads or something like that. Right. We would fit in if we did that.
Right, we would.
So
that's not us, though. That's not us.
No, so the young team members are going to go, and I'm going to grab a couple people out of the office, and we actually are hiring some new folks right now, and so one of those folks will get one of their first trips, and
yeah, well, we're doing that as well. We're flying in some folks from the East Coast and from Italy.
Yeah, so I'm going to opt out of PodCon. And so, so then it's, looking at Florida, and I'm just like, oh my God, I might as well, this is why I'm ready to leave Hawaii, is because
there's just so much going on in the U.S.
Yeah.
Or not in the U.S., but in the mainland.
Yeah.
And then the other event, I believe, is coming up in February, Podfest.
Right, Podfest, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think,
what's the date on that one?
I think we're set. Oh, you asked me about PodCon. I think we're set for PodCon. I don't know. We're good.
Podfest is what you're probably.
Yeah.
Right.
Podfest. I don't know if we've gotten signed up, or I think the sponsorship deck came out, but we got to look at that.
Chris. Yeah, I have to talk to Chris. I haven't talked to him.
So, and it's just how, again, I have to look at who we send, what it makes most sense to go to, some of these places are closest to the main office, and I will probably go to Podfest, but I'm going to be in and out. I'm going to get there, and I'm going to bing a boom, and then immediately leave. So, so it's jet setting is fun.
Yeah, especially for you. Could definitely see that being a difficult thing.
Well, and it's I'm basically 5 hours in additional travel time from anywhere. So, right. And it just you can't get anywhere in a single. I have to leave here in red eye and get in somewhere midday, and I can't leave if I leave in the morning, I get somewhere at midnight, and then if you try to do something the next day, you're like a walking zombie, worse than you would be, and so it is what it is. Yeah. Anyway, too much whining here from Todd about travel. So I know people are like, "Oh, you poor baby."
You're bored. I know, exactly.
Yeah.
So it looks like Podfest is March 7th through the 9th.
Okay.
At the Wyndham Orlando, which I believe is the same place they had it last year.
No, I think this is different. Well, maybe it is. It's the same place. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is the same place as what he moved it to last year.
Okay.
March 7th and 8th. 7th through the 9th.
Yeah, I'm going to go look at the calendar here. March 7th through the 9th. I love what they, I know that Podcast Movement won't do this, but you just look at those dates. That's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Perfect. Absolutely perfect.
Right.
You fly Wednesday. Thursday's a kind of like a half day. The full event's at 8th, 9th, I'm sure. So, people that are working, podcasters that have JOBs, they only have to burn 2 days of vacation.
Right.
To go to this event. They can fly out Wednesday night or early Thursday morning, and then spend an extra day and, get some extra time and fly back on Sunday. So, for those that live in the continental United States, that's to me works good for independent podcasters because they don't have to burn a week's of vacation time.
Yeah. Yeah, I know Chris wants to make this event, more considered to be a national event. So at least that's the conversations that I've had with him.
But you can have two national events that take a full week.
Right.
You just can't, because if people are trying to go to 2 events a year, which most podcasters, it's even a stretch to do that.
Yeah.
Sure, you can work a vacation into it, but at the same time, I'm very cognizant of the independent content creators out there and the time, most people don't get much vacation time. They get 10 days or 15 days a year. And,
right.
They got to weigh family time and sanity with, do they come someplace and burn a week's worth of leave or vacation, PTO?
Yeah. Well, next year, between Podfest and Podcast Movement, Orlando is the city next year.
And we're all going to get very familiar with Orlando.
Yeah. Yeah.
And of course, the second event happens right around hurricane season, so that should be fun too.
Right. And then here this past week, the NAB radio show and the Rain Summit were all held in Orlando as well. So I guess we're seeing a pathway around Orlando more here going forward.
And for me, Orlando's such an easy destination to get to.
Yes, it is.
Yes, fly to Chicago and then fly to Orlando. There's nothing direct. Actually, I just found out Delta has a direct flight out of Honolulu to Detroit. I didn't know that till last night, and I was like, really? So
I'm surprised that there's not a direct flight from Hawaii to Orlando.
No,
It'd be from one vacation destination to the other.
Please. Hell will freeze over before something like that happens. You can get to Atlanta on Delta, all the major hubs, but you're not getting to Orlando direct from here.
Right.
Although Southwest Airlines is going to start flying here soon, and I'm thinking to myself, I know Southwest Airlines layout. There's nothing you could not pay me to be 5.5 hours in a Southwest Airlines aircraft going between Honolulu and some West Coast destination.
Right.
It'll be cheap, but it will be cattle car uncomfortable.
Right.
What's the longest route Southwest has in the U.S., in the continental U.S.? Do they go coast to coast?
I would imagine it would be going like from Seattle to Orlando or Miami or something.
Yeah, that's about a 5-hour haul. Or 4, maybe.
Well, Seattle to Miami, that's probably closer to 6.
Miami, yeah, that's long.
That'd be closer to 6, or going from San Diego to Maine or something, or New York.
Yeah. Timothy says, no grandpas at PodCon.
I guess that cuts me off, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a 3-time grandpa.
Yeah. This is the first day in the barrel. Our first time in the barrel for me. So my 21-year-old yesterday is like, I think I want to start having kids in a couple of years. I'm like, well, is there a prospective suitor on the horizon? She goes, oh, Dad, you don't need to be married to have kids these days. I was like, oh my God.
I've got two grandchildren that live in Russia, in Siberia.
Yeah, that's true. Wow. That's a long ways to go.
Yeah. So
all right.
But they're still small. Yeah.
We're gabbering here at this point, filling time.
We are
over. We're at the hour and a half mark. All right. Well, what are we missing that what are we not covering that you want to hear in the show? That's what I want to know. And who do you want us to have on? And maybe it's time. Maybe Rob. Maybe after I get back from my escapades, maybe we can get Dave Jackson on the show, and maybe cycle Daniel through and get all get all our friends and luminaries back on. And if someone has someone that they think we should have on the show,
well, I'd like to have on the fellow from Spotify, which I talked to him about briefly. I need to follow up with that gentleman and see if that's possible.
The gentleman out of New York?
Yes.
Okay. That would be good.
And I'm trying to think who else from the industry would be a good catch for us. Is there anybody else you can think of?
It might be a good idea to have the other Rob. We haven't had the other Rob on in a while, and maybe we can get some insight from him.
Which Rob? Rob Walsh or Rob McCracken?
Rob McCracken. So
Mr. McCracken.
Yeah.
Well, he's head down in projects right now, so maybe beyond that.
Well, does he work on Saturdays too?
Sometime in November, probably. Maybe we can get him on.
Oh, okay. Oh, you must know something I don't.
Yeah, I do. So, it's okay.
Oh, that's interesting.
So,
you said too much, my friend. You said too much.
So, I'm friends with the guy.
Well, you said too much, though. That's interesting. I'll have to give Rob a jingle now, because I have some speculation here.
Todd, don't read more into it than I just, he and I are friends. So.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, yeah. But he's head down on projects, so it's
because I was trying to set up a call with him and he couldn't talk, because he's head down in a project.
Okay. So not that you've been having calls with him.
No, I haven't been having calls with him. You won't talk to me anymore. No, just kidding.
See, I'm thinking,
I know you're needling me for details on this. You're exposing our behind the scenes activities.
Because there's always gray area between the line. Okay, so just like these little things that Rob just let drop, it's probably nothing, but we do run on rumor and innuendo here. So if you have some sort of juicy tidbit that you've been told that you think other people know that you would be safe to tell us, we do keep our sources confidential. So
well, we try. Sometimes Todd lets it slip.
I don't think so. I don't think I've ever let anybody particularly slip.
Haven't?
I don't think so.
I think
no one's called me out on it, but
I know I'm teasing you. I'm trying to think who else would be a good catch for us that's in the industry now that's making waves. Like Mr. Marco Arment would be a good catch.
Yeah,
for us.
Marco would be good. To have him on. By the way, our PayPal link did pay off. Thanks, Eileen, for the donation. We appreciate that.
Wow.
Yeah, we got one. So, Rob, we're each a little. I can send you your share via PayPal. I don't want to say how much, but I thank Eileen for the donation on the website.
Put it towards covering our bandwidth costs, Todd.
Yeah, well, Rob always got that covered.
Okay. Okay.
All right, everyone. Well, I guess that's it. Marco would be a really good one to get.
I'm trying to think who else would be. I'd love to get Adam Curry on.
Well, I'll put a reach out to Adam and see if he'd come on the show. He does.
I did ask Dave Weiner at one point, but Dave has not been doing that kind of stuff. I've been asking him off and on for years to come on, but he just. Yeah,
he did, and Dave did acknowledge Daniel J. Lewis's. Thank you for your support in the podcasting space on International Podcast Day. I did see that tweet come back.
You didn't talk about International Podcast Day. How did that go?
It went great. The team over there did a fantastic job. They did. What was it? 30 hours or something of content. So it was fantastic. Around 13 or 14 different countries. Multilingual type of event. So it was good. They do a good job. It's hard to pull that all off and stay up for 30 hours and make the machine oil work to get on. And Dave, Steve, Daniel's involved in the background as well too on that. So it's a good event. I hope everyone had a good International Podcast Day last Sunday. So.
Yep.
And look forward to next year's event.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And we'll have to talk about.
Call it a day, right?
Yeah, we'll have to talk about the backstory at International Podcast Day and a friend of mine that actually runs the site that does today. Basically, the Pineapple Day, Pizza Day, Cat Day. So we'll talk about him at some point. All right, everybody. Todd at blueberry.com at Geek News on Twitter.
And Rob at Spreaker.com. And I'm on Twitter at Rob Greenlee as well. And you can check out the Spreaker Live show. I talked about the hyped overestimation of a popping podcast bubble on the show this past week. So go to SpreakerLiveShow.com.
So,
we didn't talk about that, Todd.
Which one?
The overhyped podcast bubble popping.
Oh, well.
Rumor.
It was dumb. There's no bubble.
That's right. There wasn't a bubble and it didn't pop.
And I
didn't hear a popping sound.
Yeah. By the way, I apologize for not looking at the YouTube chat. And yes, Eileen, I just mentioned your PayPal donation. Thank you. So, yeah, but there were people that had made some comments. I think the clocks changed November 4th, so you got a little bit more time.
Good.
All right, everyone, thanks for being here. We'll see you next time on the New Media Show. Everyone, take care. I'm glad YouTube stayed hot and heavy today. My switch worked. So thanks.
Yes, good.
We'll see you next time here on the New Media Show. Everyone, take care. Bye-bye.